Welcome back to Clarity Farms. This is Tyler Barnett.
Tay Andrews.
And Eliana Andrews.
And today we're going to be explaining chicken basics and kind of how you can get started with your own backyard chickens. So we just got back from the swap meet this morning. We picked up 8 new chickens. We got some larger breeds, some smaller breeds. We really just went to get 3, and we ended up with almost an entire new flock. So
this is perfect for the video, so we can help you guys start with chickens.
Yeah, so we can show you guys how to kind of get started. Tate's gonna kind of walk you through the coops. We got a smaller coop here that we have a couple of our more baby chickens in, and then we added you can't see them, but they're in the background. We added a couple of our more grown chickens to the flock, and so we'll show you how we integrate them. We'll show you the differences between the smaller coop and more of a actual built coop over here. And we'll just kind of take you through things that we didn't know when we first got started with chickens, and the basics about chickens, and just some of the ins and outs that they don't explain to you always. So we'll kind of jump into that and we'll let you guys know.
Yep.
So these 4 are part of the new chickens that we got this morning, and they're a little bit larger than the other 4 that we got, meaning that they can go into our old group of chickens with a little less safety hazards, I guess you could say. The smaller the chicken is, the more it's going to get picked on, because chickens definitely have a pecking order. And anytime you bring in new chickens to your existing chickens, they're going to fight, they're going to squabble, because they got to find out who's top dog is kind of what it comes down to. When you're bringing in 4 new chickens, or however many the chickens are, you're going to have fighting so that they can figure out where they line on that list. They'll go and they'll fight pretty much all of your other chickens and kind of see, am I more dominant, am I less dominant, and kind of so on. Other things that you kind of have to consider when you're bringing in new chickens are they healthy? You don't want to bring in more chickens into your flock and they have diseases that kill off your existing flock. With these 4, we knew for sure that they came from a good farm, no diseases, so we don't have to quarantine them. We do have another chicken coop that if we do buy from somebody that the chicken might be sick, something like that, and we kind of try to stay away from anybody that would be like that. But you are supposed to quarantine these chickens. Let them have a couple weeks just so that the disease, the sickness is off and it doesn't affect the rest of your flock. These guys are good, so we put them in just a dog crate and we put them in the middle of our chicken run. There's different ways, different methods that people use to determine how to make the fighting and the squabbling as least as possible. This is the one that we use, putting them into the run so that they can see each other, they can say hi to each other through the fence so that they're safe. And then once things have kind of dialed down, we'll let them out. And yes, there still will be some fighting, but it's better. Some other methods that people use are at nighttime, they'll go and they'll put the new chickens to roost with their old chickens. And when they wake up, typically there's less fighting than what there would be if you just threw them in. So there's different methods that you can use. This is just the one that we use. When you're looking into getting your chickens, some things that might come to mind are, what breed of chickens do you get? When we first started, we didn't really think about that too much. We just went and got just a handful of chickens and called it good. As we've grown our chickens and grown our flock, we've realized that there are some breeds that lay more than others, that are maybe happier than others, and there's traits that are good and traits that are bad in every breed. Today we bought these 4. We'll go through them. We got some Wyandottes, some different types of Wyandottes, and then a Brahma. All these chickens are normally very good layers. The Wyandottes and Brahmas are both very pretty breeds, and here at Clarity Farms, we're not very concerned about, oh, we're going to get a ton of eggs. We're more so just looking at them. So the prettier they are, the better they are for us. We do like our eggs, so luckily these are good breeds for eggs, and they're very beautiful. So works out for us. Over in the other coop, we have some Polish, and I don't even know, some other funky one, but they're pretty crazy, cool to look at. With the more funkier breeds, normally they don't lay as much as what your other breeds would lay, whereas some of your more basic breeds lay a ton, and they're very good for laying. We have some just basic Rhode Island Reds, and we'll kind of get into that later in the video, just the breeds that you can look for, but it is something to think about when you're looking into getting chickens.
Here at Clarity Farms, my great-grandparents had this chicken coop built in the 1970s, but over time it got very ran down. A couple months ago, we rebuilt it. Before that, we used two different smaller chicken coops. All three of these chicken coops look very different, but all have the same standard features. When first selecting a coop, the number one feature to look for is spacing. One chicken needs about 10 square feet of run space, and depending on the breed of chicken, it will take up roosting space fast. In our first chicken coop, you can see it doesn't have near the amount of roosting space as our built one. Even this morning, when we added chickens, we had to add more roosting space. Roosting space is important because this is where a chicken will sleep and normally make most dirty. So you don't want your chickens making other places dirty, such as your nesting boxes. It's a common belief that chickens need their own nesting boxes. That's false. Multiple chickens use the same nesting box. As you can see, these two coops look very different, but have the same number of nesting boxes. My great-grandparents had 4 nesting boxes for 50 chickens. People tend to keep food inside of their chicken coop. This is so other animals don't bother it. Their water is normally kept outside depending on your coop. Since we have concrete floors, we don't have to worry about water mess or damage from water, so we keep it inside. Speaking of messes, it's important to keep your coop clean. There are many ways to clean a coop, but we have a video of how we clean ours.
So as Tate kind of talked to you guys earlier about the differences of coops, one thing I kind of wanted to mention is another plus side of building your own coop or having a bigger coop built is that you can have a storage system like we do. So on the right hand side of our coop, we have just a simple little storage closet that we keep all of our miscellaneous things in. Big enough to have a shelf for just some goat feed, you know, just all the little stuff. Anything that needs to be put on a shelf, I guess. But to kind of get into the bread and butter of this section, our chicken feed. So we use a 20% egg laying crumble. You can use a pellet, which is like it sounds, an actual pellet. Some farmers say they rather use a pellet because their chickens slow down when they eat. We think it's easier on our chickens to use a crumble, but it's kind of just up to what you guys think. When making your feed, it's 1 pound of poultry grit. It's just a bag of pretty much rocks that we'll sprinkle in. Like I said, 1 pound for every bag of feed. So chickens use grit or rocks to put into their throats and kind of digest the food. So they need that. It's very important that they have that. So like we said, 1 pound per 1 bag. In the morning times, we give them scratch. This is just a reward for them, kind of just a enrichment, I guess you could say. It is a handful of feed, a handful of corn, and a handful of mealworms. Mealworms are very important for them so they get that extra protein. It helps them lay their pretty eggs that we need. So feed and scratch. Chickens are known to be garbage disposals. They can eat pretty much anything, and they're a good homestead option for you because they can eat anything. So give them anything. We give them their own eggs back, egg shells, very good for calcium. They need that. So anytime we use eggs, we give them their egg shells, tomatoes, anything like that. Though the one thing they cannot have are vines from these I think they're called dark shades. They can't have tomato vines, cucumber vines, squash vines. They can have the actual fruit themselves, the vegetables themselves, but not the vines. So steer away from that. Other than that, they can eat pretty much anything. So use your chickens as garbage disposals. It's good for them. It's good for resources. So just use what you can. That's the whole point of it. But yes, 1 bag of 20% egg laying crumble is what we use. So before we get started with breeds that we recommend of chickens, we thought it'd be good to kind of explain some things that we didn't know when we first got started and things that we've learned along the way with raising chickens and growing our flock.
Yeah, like they don't lay as much in the winter, so like breeds like Brahmas have a little bit more meat, so they can use that more energy. Typically, you're not going to get more eggs in winter than summer just because of the weather.
Yeah, so in the colder months, your egg laying production is going to go down. You're not going to get as many eggs as what you were during the warmer months. So during winter, it'll slow down, and then about springtime, it'll start going. And then normally June, July is like your max production of eggs. But just in the winter months, it slows down a little bit compared to your warmer months. Another common misconception that people don't normally know is that you don't need a rooster to have eggs.
Yeah, this is false. Hens naturally lay eggs. They do lay better with a rooster just because it adds that protection. The stress levels go down.
Yeah, and they lay more when they have a rooster because roosters are known to take care of their flock. They'll send out signals if they see like a hawk or some type of predator, and so their stress levels go down and their egg production goes up. So it's better to have a rooster in some cases, but you don't need a rooster. We don't even have a rooster. We still get our eggs. Yeah, and Ellie can kind of tell you about that. So
Yeah, we don't have a rooster. Something that's something we've been looking into getting is a rooster. But when you're looking to get a rooster, they usually get a bad rap. So you're gonna want to look for one that's more of a gentleman.
yeah, so roosters, they're known for being mean, like you see all the videos, and there are some very mean roosters. But as Ellie was saying, there are some very nice ones, some gentlemen's out there. So, like she said, when you're looking into getting one, try to get one that is nice. So, if you have little kids come around, or Ellie's always with our chickens, so she's really wanting one that's not gonna peck her every time she comes in here. So, just try to look for the ones that are nicest, and that will be good for your flock. So this was the very first chicken that we had at Clarity Farms. It is a Rhode Island Red. They're amazing egg layers. They lay 300 eggs a year, a very brown egg, like a light brown egg. And they're just all around good breed. You'll see these chickens at a ton of different farms just because they're very friendly, very docile, and still just amazing egg layers.
This is a very similar breed. It's called a Cinnamon Queen. You will also see these around farms. They lay around 250 to 320 eggs a year. Also a brown egg. Great layers. A little bit more color and smaller, but
A little bit smaller as you can see, but like she said, a little bit more color. You can see the browns and then a little bit more white to their necks and stuff. But they're a very pretty breed and a very good egg laying breed. So these are what are called Wyandottes. They're very pretty. They come in a lot of different types of colors, and they're very good egg layers. They lay anywhere from 250 to 280. And like we said, they have this beautiful pattern to them. You can see how different of colors they are. And you can get about just any different color of Wyandotte you want. They all lay a little bit different of numbers, but they're all good egg layers. So these are very small because they're still babies, but you can already see how pretty they are, and they're just good egg layers all around. So these are our newest addition to the flock, as we talked about earlier in the video, but they're just very good egg layers and just good chickens all around.
this is our Brahma. She is only 4 months old, so she's not full grown. Brahmas typically get really big. They lay 150 to 200 eggs a year, big brown eggs. Like we said earlier, they are bigger and have more meat, so they do lay better in winter.
Composed to other breeds, they just do a little bit better. They're not going to be like only laying in winter per se, but compared to other breeds, they do better in the winter. So if you're looking for a chicken that maybe to help pick up your flock's production in the winter, this will be a good chicken to add to your flock. But as you can see, they're very big, so be mindful of that when you're looking to get your first flock started. So this is another of our first breeds that we got here at Clarity Farms. It is a Dom or Dominique. They're a black speckled chicken. They're gorgeous. They lay a brown egg, like a lighter brown egg. But the good thing about this breed is they're black, and black chickens are very good for your flock because hawks will see this and they'll think that it's a crow, and hawks don't mess with crows. So it's good to have just a couple black chickens in your flock so that it keeps away hawks, especially if you don't have a rooster. So this is another very good breed to add to your flock. They lay good, very docile, very friendly, and just all around good for your flock.
These are speckled Sussex. They are very pretty. Lay from 200 to 250 eggs a year. Uh,
Another light brown egg.
very sweet, very docile. Great for your flock just because how pretty they are and sweet.
So this is our prized possession here at Clarity Farms. This is the one and only Adam Sandler. We really don't know what breed she is. The person never told us when we got her. It's another common chicken you'll see at a lot of different places, just a standard white chicken. The only reason I say I don't know what breed it is because we're not sure she's mixed with anything. But yeah, so this is Miss Adam Sandler, but you'll see these at a lot of different farms, just a standard white chicken. But you can't go wrong, So, yep, she's not very happy with me. She doesn't really like to be picked up, but she's very important to our flock because she's one of a couple that we have that's an Easter egger, meaning that they lay a colored egg. So she lays a very bluish green egg, and her partner over here that we got from the same place also does the same. It's a barnyard mix, so it's not like a standard breed of chicken, meaning that we don't really know how many eggs a year, or we can't really calculate how many eggs a year that this specific breed will lay, because it just depends. So she's a mix of a whole bunch of different types of chickens. So yeah, but Easter eggers are a very good addition to your farm because it adds some beauty into your eggs. So if you're looking to sell eggs or you're just wanting eggs for yourself, it's really good because it makes your egg production look very pretty. You add some color to your egg production. So it's always a good thing to have a couple of Easter eggers.
This is one of our Polish chickens. Of course, she is so small because she is a baby. She has a lot of feathers on her head. Very crazy chickens. They add a lot of personality to your flock.
Very pretty.
Very pretty. They're also very good just because they are black and they, like we said earlier, imitate a crow to keep hawks or whatnot away. They lay 150 to 200 eggs a year.
Yeah, and going with that, this is another very freaky looking chicken. You see it has feathers on its feet. Its feathers on its neck go backwards. Super pretty chicken. So like she said, it adds some personality to your flock. But when you start getting into these, like, you could say designer breed chickens, I guess, these chickens are very beautiful. Normally they don't lay, like we said earlier in the video, they just don't lay a lot of eggs. So your basic brown chickens, like your Rhode Island Reds, they lay a ton of eggs a year, but they're just not as pretty. Whereas these lay, like she said, on the lower end, 150-ish, but they're a lot prettier. So they're cool to look at, but they're not very good for production. So if you're looking just to sell eggs, I'd be more focused on getting your brown Rhode Island Reds. But if you're looking just to have chickens and have fun with it, these breeds right here are probably the go-to, you could say. And kind of with that, these are the chickens that we have in our flock, but that doesn't mean that these are the only chickens. There's a million different breeds of chickens that all have pretty traits, good layers, not good layers. So just do your own research. Some ones that I would recommend that we don't have are Buff Orpingtons. They're another typical breed that have a high egg production that you can also get to be pretty. There's different ones, but those are just the ones that we have. Do your own research, find which ones fit your place best, and yeah, let us know in the comments what chickens you have. So hopefully we're able to answer all your guys' questions and kind of help you guys get started with your own backyard chickens. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and like and subscribe.